Okay. So in today's lecture, what we're going to do is we are going to look at what is content marketing, just the basic definition, because it's no rocket science. You all are experts in creating content. Why content marketing? We're going to look at the important elements of the content, the role of content and consumers' purchase journey, measuring the effectiveness of content marketing. So this tutorials today. Content and plan. The first definition is that, it is the technique of creating and distributing content that is valuable, relevant, and consistent. And it should be directed. So the important part is it should be directed to a very clearly defined audience with the intention of generating consumer action. Right? So that is the, from a consumer perspective, this is what, marketers want, that the content should result in some sort of action. And that action could be either a purchase, it could be, whether you're mentioning the brand, it can be anything, but it has to be an action. Now, from a brand's perspective, marketer's perspective, another, more strategic way of looking at content is to create the content where brands can create interest, they can engage the consumers, build relationships with their customers, and those relationships are aimed at, delivering very clear-cut, visible value, right, by addressing the customer needs. So these are the two perspectives of content marketing, and we look at these perspectives in more details down the further slides. So unless you have any questions on the definition, I am going to move ahead, okay? All right, so why content marketing? Content marketing has really become an important part of the digital strategy of brands and marketers. Now, if you look at this particular picture, this statistics is for, it shows you the movement of the consumers from 2010 to 2021. So if you remember in lecture 2, we had looked at the evolution of internet, and we looked at the third era where the internet, the use of social media was highly evolved. And that era was from 2010 to 2015, where consumers actively started using social media to communicate, to voice their opinions, and there was a power transfer from the marketers to the consumers. So that is exactly what has been happening, and it has not stopped, right? Because the number of consumers on social media was 0.97 billion in 2010, and it increased to about 3 billion in 2021, including, there was a substantial increase in this period of COVID, right? So what I'm trying to say here is, if you look at 2010 to 21, there has been almost a threefold increase in the number of social media users. So when, a great majority of the world is actually customers and consumers are on social media, so it is but obvious for the marketers to be present over there. And this was another finding by Stat Investor that TikTok overtook Google as the most visited website of 2021, right? So it is just unimaginable to think that a social media website could overtake Google. Even Facebook has not been able to do that, but TikTok was very successful. So how many of you, or let me put it this way, for those of you who have accounts on TikTok, what was the interesting thing that you observed during the pandemic on TikTok as compared to Insta? So I use TikTok for entertainment because I'm not a very prolific user. I use Insta to gather brand info, and I use Facebook for my personal contacts, to keep in touch with them and have a social closed network of friends. So that's how I do. So probably in your own free time, try and think about what is the different ways that you are using these different social media channels. All right, so TikTok is one of the most visited websites, and the reasons could be different for different people. Nevertheless, that is so there's a lot of content being created on TikTok and other social media channels. Now, because the consumers are consuming so much content, content marketing has grown exponentially, and the amount of investment in content marketing is now close to the tune. It's a total market size for content marketing is about $583 billion. So that is the amount of investment happening in this particular field. So if you are looking at making careers in digital marketing, so content marketing offers another very potential area for you to thrive and be successful in. And I'm sure that there must be some of you who are influencers in on your social media channels. So for those of you who are influencers, even though you might be just micro influencers, that's fine. But again, it's very useful for you to think about this market and how it is going to expand even more and more. All right, so the reason because of these social media trends and content, so much money being poured into content marketing, the brands and the manufacturers, they create content in many different ways. So when they're creating campaigns for marketing, those campaign formats can be social, specifically designed for social media. They could be for other digital channels, such as the websites where they appear. And these campaigns are also designed keeping in mind the broadcast medium, such as TV, live stream, and at-home streaming services, etc. So there are a lot of digital channels available to marketers, and the campaigns are kind of adapted to those different formats. Now, I want you to so you are experts at social media. I don't even have to think about it twice because you are prolific users of at least one of these platforms, because you're consuming this content daily. So I want you to think of a digital marketing campaign which made an impact or which you thought was really engaging, and there was something that you noticed about the campaign. So Lego is one of the brands that is one of the top 10 companies in the corporate social responsibility rankings. And they have been able to maintain their rankings for the past almost 7 to 10 years. And they're doing an incredibly good job at reinventing themselves. So this is a campaign I want to show you, and then I have some questions for you. Okay. So this campaign is Rebuild the World campaign, just very recent campaign. Okay, I'll stop here, otherwise it'll become too long. All right, so I want you to tell me, what do you think about this campaign? How would you, what kind of adjectives would you use to describe this campaign? Campaign was a little different from what other campaigns that Lego has done. Usually they tend to use their, Lego blocks in their campaigns. But this one was more around, it was like about rebuilding. It was more about a social, topic to create a better world and rebuild the world. Type of things. So you see various themes and colors, and there is a storyline which is very engaging, like some of you mentioned, but it's very captivating because of those colors, and you're literally with them on a ride in an imaginary world. Now I'll show you another campaign which during the pandemic actually captured a lot of attention, and it gathered about 36 million views. So I'm not sure how many views those would have increased by now. And that is a campaign by Gillette. And now the Gillette campaign had 36 million views, and I think now they are 37.8, almost 38 million. So let me show you this campaign as well. And then I want you to tell me what do you think about this campaign?
Bullying. The Me Too movement against sexual harassment. Masculinity.
Is this the best a man can get? Is it? We can't hide from it.
Sexual harassment is taking over.
It's been going on far too long. We can't laugh it off.
Who's the daddy? What I actually think she's trying to say.
Making the same old excuses.
Boys will be boys.
Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys.
But something finally changed.
Allegations regarding sexual assault and sexual harassment.
But she says
And there will be no going back. Because we believe in the best in men.
Come on.
To say the right thing. To act the right way.
Bro, not cool, not cool.
Some already are. In ways big
Yo, men,
and small.
I am strong.
I am strong.
But some is not enough.
It's not how we treat each other, okay? Okay?
Because the boys watching today will be the men of tomorrow.
Okay, so this particular campaign, they also used, hash word, the best men can be. And this was a very, very popular social media campaign, and it generated a lot of discussion on social media. So how would you describe this campaign? Like, what are the words that come to your mind when you watched this particular campaign? So this is by far one of Gillette's most, popular campaigns. So because it talks about an issue that is very authentic, and that is an important part, that is a very key element of content. So I've shown you two very different kind of campaigns, and the whole idea is to get you to think about what are the key elements of content marketing. So like in the first ad you saw, it was engaging, there was a story with a little bit of conflict and tension. The same, you could observe a slight tension in the second ad as well. And the Gillette was very authentic issue that it was addressing. So these are some of the key elements that form a very important part when you are designing the content. And it is true across all of the brands, because these are the elements which, help in creating that emotional connect and get the consumers to act. So that is why we need to have very effective, if you're creating content, don't just create for the sake of it, it has to be really effective. So what is the role of content? Why do we want to use content marketing? So content marketing is actually used to support consumers. Now, technically, if we look at the buying process, which we will do now, content marketing is used to influence the consumers at different stages of their buying journey, irrespective again of whether they are low involvement products or high involvement products, right? So the first role of content is to support the consumer's journey. Now, you know, through your principles of marketing class that consumers go through different phases of the buying process, right? The very first phase is awareness. When you become aware, when you recognize, oh, I've got to buy this, right? That is the awareness phase. And then you start looking at different types of alternatives that exist in the market, and then you go through a whole process of considering different types of brands, and then you go through the final stage of purchase, and loyalty and advocacy come if you are happy with that product. And the second role that content plays is in shortening the journey of the consumers. And I will expand on this in the future slides, but first let's talk about supporting your journey. So how does content support the journey? And for this, let us take the example. I want you all to think. So you all are uni students. Some of you are staying far. Some of you are, traveling, taking the public transport, but maybe you are considering buying a car because some of you might pull in a car, or a car is more comfortable. So let's take this high involvement product. Think that you are planning to buy a car for some reason. It can be new car, used car, whatever. Now that you recognize your need for the car, what is the information that you're going to seek in the very first phase where you have recognized the need to buy a car? On industry experts, specific websites like carsales.com. So if you're thinking of buying a car, you would probably, this is one of the first few activities that you would do. Check out what people have to say about this car, talk to your friends, right? Get information, jump onto a website and check out what is available there, right? So these are some of the, so during this awareness phase, that is why the content has to be designed in such a way where, the consumers are not sure of what they're going to buy, because there are 100 models, 100 brands present in the market, right? So there's a lot of uncertainty. Is SUV better for me, or is sedan better for me, or a sports car is better for me? I don't know what I have to buy. Should I buy a Nissan, a Toyota, Honda, Mercedes? I'm not too sure. So this is the kind of uncertainty that the consumer is going through. And in this particular phase, the content is built at educating you. So if you want, we are talking about a high involvement product, right? So industry expert opinions, reviews, videos which demonstrate the cars, about the performance of the car, overall review, comparisons. Now it has become so evolved that if you go on YouTube and you are not sure which car you want to buy, there are comparisons of competing models as well. So that's how evolved content marketing has become. Now think of yourselves that in the awareness phase, you were thinking of, you could see that there was at least 50 different brands and model combinations available in the market. And by going to various websites, you were able to narrow down those combinations to come to a list of 3 brands and model combination that you want to buy. Let's say you've decided that you want to buy a sedan because as a student that fits best in, for your needs. And you are considering 3 different brands. You can imagine whatever brands that you are your favorites. So take the top 3 brands, and in the consideration phase, you are evaluating the 3 different brands. So what would you do in this particular phase? What kind of information are you going to search for to evaluate those 3 different brands that you have narrowed down? Nowadays, what the car manufacturers offer is what is called as the car configurators. So in the card configurators, you can go onto the website, you can configure your own card, and depending on the feature, the different options that you want, whether you want leather seats or you want simple cloth seats, and you want a 5-seater car or you want a 7-seater car, you can adjust the color and see the style of the car to understand whether that is the car that you'd like to go for, right? So these are the kind of tools. So the content is created around these needs of the customers during the consideration and evaluation phase. So there are affordability calculators to help consumers compare the objective information like prices. There are the car configuration tools, which are used to help the consumers get a feel of the experiential information, right? And these became very popular, the configuration tools, during the COVID pandemic time, where the consumers did not want to go out, because it was hazardous. So a lot of those who were in the market for cars actually jumped on to get that feel, experiential feel. And not only that, during the pandemic, there was a whole, there was sort of information explosion on YouTube where people were actually, putting up reviews on products, on cars, on how they felt when they bought this car, what was their experience with the car. So social media has enabled consumers to obtain experiential information which previously was available only when you used the product, right? So that is a very, very significant change brought about by social media, and it has empowered the consumers even more. All right, so this particular phase, when we talked about the car, this is more or less a linear phase, right? You go through an awareness process, you are in the consideration and evaluation phase, and after looking at those 3 cars, you come down to deciding one car and you make a purchase. So content marketing helps you to provide the right information at the right time, depending on the phase or depending on where you are in the purchase funnel. Now let's take another example where content marketing can actually shorten the consumer's journey. That means it can become more non-linear, right? So it's not necessary that you have to go from awareness to consideration and then purchase. It can be non-linear in the sense that you can jump straight away from awareness to purchase stage. So I want you to think of your own experience on social media where you may have exhibited this non-linear process. Has there ever been a situation where you felt that you needed to buy this and you went on social media, found the information or took recommendations from your friends and then immediately bought the product? So think back about this. We observe this commonly, in food category restaurants. Sometimes you don't want to do the research, but if there is somebody who's telling you on social media, wow, go check this out. And especially if this is your close friend, you're bound to go and check that place. So lower involvement products, which have lower risk involved in purchases, are the products where consumers exhibit a lot of non-linear patterns in purchasing, and that is primarily because social media provides the information which cuts down on your customer journey. You don't have to go from awareness to consideration to purchase. You can directly go from awareness to purchase phase. So that's how content can shorten the consumer journey. Now, the reason why content has become very important is to shorten that journey is because there's a lot of competition in the online world, and especially that has been catapulted by the pandemic. So there's fierce competition among e-commerce retailers, there's Amazon, there's eBay, and there are a lot of other retailers that have their shops online. So oftentimes consumers, when they are searching for products, they put the products into the cart, but they find a better price elsewhere, so they abandon their shopping cart on a website and switch very easily to another website. So consumer switching because of prices or because of higher quality available elsewhere, that has become very frequent now. So the risk of abandonment of shopping carts is high. And also we are living in an age of instant gratification. So you see a product, you want to use it immediately, right? So the consumers want to convert at the point in the journey where they are now. So that is why the role of content has become very important. Now, when you are developing the content, some of the key factors to take into account is the cost of the product and the perceived risk. Like I told you, the level of involvement in purchasing that product. So if it's a high involvement product, you're going to provide more information, which means you're going to create more content, it'll be more costly. If it is a low involvement product, you might invest in photo ads versus video ads, or you might invest in banner ads versus YouTube ads. So it just depends. So cost and the perceived risk of the product are both taken into account. Now, how you place the content, where do you place it also becomes an important factor when you are engaging in content marketing. So oftentimes you will notice that, firms have different ways. So if you are, let's say, advertising a product which is on sale, so what are the common ad formats that you have seen for products that are on sale and advertised in the digital medium? What type of ads do you see that capture your attention? So I'm going to show you an example by sharing the screen. And what I want to show you is how they place their ads. So one of the websites, like I'm sure you all are familiar with MSN and Yahoo. So I want to show the screen to you. So this is the Yahoo website. No, this is the MSN website. And can you see this ad by Motley Fool Australia, right? So this firm is, this ad is embedded in the content. It looks like one of the news articles. This is called native advertising, when the content or the advertising is embedded into the main content of the website. So if I click on this particular article, there's a lot of information. Is 1 million enough for retirement? So it suggests to you that how you can take care of your retirement, and towards the end it asks you for your email address. So this is a way of collecting the consumer's information, and then they follow up with you to give you information about their advisory services or financial services that they offer. So the whole idea is that how you are embedding the content. So is the key aspect, and that is called as native advertising, simply put. Okay, and the different types of native advertising are in-stream ads that you see on your feed on Insta, TikTok, or Facebook. Branded content is like the one that I showed you that was embedded on these websites. Targeted advertising is paid ads on Google would be an example of targeted advertising. All right, so how do you measure the effectiveness of the content? So you're creating so much content, and especially so during the pandemic. So it becomes really important to the marketeers that when we are spending these billions and billions of dollars, what is it doing? Is it bringing us any results or not? So, during the awareness phase, when you want to expose the consumers to your brand, you want to expose new consumers to your brands or products, or you simply want them to recall your brand whenever the need arises, during that phase, what are the metrics that you would look at when you're creating the content? So the very first metric is something which, that you all have seen at some point of time. That is when you're searching for a brand, where does the brand website rank on the Google search engine pages? So that is called as the SERP, that is search engine results page. So if your website or your brand comes in the top 3 of the organic search results, which are not paid, What I mean that they are not paid for by a company. So if it is in top 3 or if it is on the first page, then that means that you are doing pretty good at creating awareness of your brand or reaching out to your new customers. Because when consumers are searching for something, they will rarely go beyond the first page. They will rarely go beyond the first 5 links when they are searching. So it's very crucial. And that is what search engine optimization is all about, that your website should be among the top ranked links that come onto that Google search page. The second one is number of first-time visitors. So if it is Amazon, and Amazon has consumers who are members of Amazon, but there are also consumers who are not members of Amazon. So it is important to keep a track of who are the consumers who are coming to our website and buying the product for the first time. So to keep track, and it is easy to keep track of these metrics because you come to know that via cookies, or you also come to know by comparing the customer purchase with the database of your existing customers. On social media, you engage in all of these activities, you engage in likes, you follow your favorite influencers or your friends, you create pins on Pinterest, etc. So these are all metrics which tell you, these are engagement metrics. So if the more you like a brand, the more it will spread across different people, more people will see. So it's a way of creating awareness. So that's why likes and shares are very important, even though consumers might not necessarily purchase the brand, but still it is creating a lot of awareness. In the consideration stage, the second stage, where consumers are reading a lot of content and evaluating the brands, what becomes important? You have to see how engaged they are. So if, let's say you are deciding between Honda and Toyota, but you're reading more content of Honda, you're visiting the dealers for Honda, but you are just simply visiting the websites for Toyota, right? So that tells you that you are more engaged with Honda, therefore you are more likely to purchase a Honda. This has been observed in repeated behaviors and studies over time. Therefore, for manufacturers, it becomes really important to see how much time you are spending with them. So if you are on Toyota's website, for how much time did you visit the website? 1 hour, 30 minutes? What were the areas where you clicked on that website? How many pages you viewed, how much depth did you go to, how many hyperlinks did you click on? So the total number of pages that you viewed on the website, for total amount of time you were on the website, these are all metrics used to measure consideration. So bounce rate means that you visit a website, you don't like it, and you immediately move on to another website. So a high bounce rate is not a good thing. A low bounce rate means greater stickiness to that website, which is good. On social media, here's a question for you. On social media, what are the metrics that you think could be some sort of an indicator for consideration? So what I'm trying to get you to understand is that marketers post ad contents of various types. They are photos and videos, like some of you have collected the data, right? So seeing how many number of consumers have viewed, the number of views for an ad, especially a video ad, that is also a social metric which helps you to understand the engagement rate, because only the consumers who are really, really interested in buying the product are going to take time to view the ads, to view the information. Hence, give you opinions, and opinion mining can tell you a lot about what the consumers are thinking, whether they are considering your brand or not. Because today's consumers are very vocal, they will not waste time, right? So either they like a brand or they hate a brand, and they're not afraid to put it out there. All right, so the third one is conversion. So that is when the consumers have finally made a purchase. So the conversion rates are measured directly. This is quite measurable by the sales that have happened, from which channel they occurred. So the channels that can be attributed to sales, whether it came from Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, these are some of the things that can be easily measured by the manufacturers or the retailers. Also, subscriber versus non-subscriber behavior that can also be observed. For example, Amazon can easily analyze what is the volume of sales, what is the total profits coming from the subscribers versus the non-subscriber base that is buying their products. So there are no surprises here. All right, then we look at the role of technology. Now, given that so much money in the tune of billions is being spent on content marketing, creating that content, there's huge amounts of data on YouTube. Every second of video is being added on YouTube. So you can just imagine the amount of content that exists out there, right? So given that volume of content, you also need technology to assist you to manage that content. So the role of technology is that, because of these sophisticated algorithms, machine learning, and developments in softwares, we have very advanced systems like the content management systems, which help play a very crucial role in content marketing strategy. So content management systems are like WordPress own website. It is typically used by a lot of us to create our websites, but very few know that it is a content management system also. Drupal is another very powerful content management system. Both these are free. I think Joomla is paid, I'm not too sure, but the downside of WordPress is that it's very prone to hacking. Drupal and Joomla are more secure comparatively, but Drupal and Joomla require a relatively higher level of knowledge to create a website and do, set up a content management system. So usually what firms do is they outsource this to the private companies who manage their accounts on WordPress, Drupal, or using Joomla. All right, so what exactly, so you must be wondering, what exactly do these systems do? So I just want to show you a little video here that will tell you what a content management system does. Okay. I'm going to share the screen. Okay. All right, so this is a small little video and let's watch this.
I am Alex from Essential Web Apps. You might have heard about the word CMS. And, in this video, I will explain what a CMS, or Content Management System is, and why it is important to you. But, before I get into that, we make videos regularly. If you want to see videos like this, please hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon for notification. So, a content management system or CMS manages the creation and modification of digital content for your business website. It's a software that empowers you to create and manage content on your website, including its design, text, graphics, and even code you see. It's the architecture of your online presence. Landing pages, pillar pages, product pages, service pages, all the pages are part of your CMS. A couple of CMS examples that you may have heard of are WordPress, HubSpot, Joomla, Squarespace, Drupal, Wix, and the list goes on and on. Now, why it is important for your company? Well, the best CMS helps you build a website without writing all the code from scratch, or even know how to code at all. So, instead of building your own system for creating web pages, storing images, and other functions, a CMS handles all that basic infrastructure stuff for you so that you can focus on more front-end parts of your website, and of course your business. Now, you might be wondering how you can use a CMS for your company. Well, it's like this. First, the basics. Use a CMS to build a website. If you have a one-page site or nothing at all, you really need to get on board here. You can't build a business on social media alone. What will happen when Facebook changes its rules, or shut down for some reason, or your content is gone? That's why you have to have a website. Use a CMS to build that website. Next, use a CMS to make website management easier. Create that on a preset template. The templates are great. It gives you a clear visualization of your website in advance. And you can build into it with your content easily. Just like using Microsoft Office. I gave a link in the description for you. So, you can check some cool WordPress templates for your business. But most importantly, find a CMS that fits your needs and style and what you understand easily. Because not all CMS are the same, some of those have a bit of a learning curve but have great power, and some of those are more user-friendly and easy to manage. So, there you go. Now you know what CMS is, and why you need this. In another video, I will discuss why you should choose.
Okay, so essentially, once you create your website, the CMS enables you to keep adding more and more content very easily, and also, to manage the different pages that you have in that particular content. And now coming back to our presentation. All right, so next we come to, because you already have a content management system, you are able to create the content, but there is nothing, it's very important to have a strategy behind all of that content and the technology that you are using. So when you are creating a content marketing strategy, which will vary across the brands, the type of products, what are the key factors that you can keep in mind? So think about content marketing strategy as both science and art. It is art because you have to be creative in the content, like we have discussed all throughout this lecture. There has to be a connection. It should be a story. It should be very gripping and magical, right? So that is the artistic side. But there is a more scientific side too as well, or a technical side, in the sense that you have to take into account, where do you place that content? On what type of websites? Is it meant for broadcast medium? Is it meant for social medium? Or is it meant for web browsers? So that is placement. You have to decide the length of the ads, for how many seconds they are going to be. Are they going to be long form video or short form video ads? Again, that would depend on the type of products. Like high involvement products would have long form video ads. Who is your customer? Where do you find them? So you have to think about your target segment. Optimize. So what is the optimal number of ads you want to show on the different websites? Like, do you want to create 3 different types of ads and show them on different websites, or do you want to create one ad and show it for the next 30 days on different types of websites? So that would be optimization. Psychology in creating that content plays a very important role as well. So when we talk about psychology, an important element of psychology is emotion. So what do you think? This is a question for you. Do you think emotion plays a role in content marketing? Emotion creates that connect. So if your content creates that emotional connect with the consumers, it has been seen in a lot of research studies that for the content where there is an emotional connect, consumers are going to act fast in terms of purchasing the product. Where the content is very, it's not emotional, but it's more objective, there the consumers are actually going to rationally evaluate that content, and they will take their own time in making purchases. And that is the reason why you see that car manufacturers create both types of content. They create objective content so that the consumers can educate themselves and take their time in deciding, because it's a high involvement product. Consumers will not jump into a purchase anyways. They create emotional content because, it helps. Whenever the repeat purchases happen, they come back to the same brand, and it also helps to build, that connect, relate to that brand very closely. For example, if you're buying a Mercedes, it associates with your status, or it gives you the feeling that you've reached there. You have achieved that, for the aspirants, they have reached that particular stage in life where they are now associated with anything that is all about luxury. So emotion plays a very important role there. But for low involvement goods, you will notice, like for candies and chocolates, what do the marketers do? They create ads which are funny or humorous. They use animals to create that emotional connect because they want the consumers to take instant action. So that is why emotion is a very important psychological phenomena to be taken into account. With that, we come to the end of the lecture. So I'll just quickly recap. We looked at the important elements of the content: authenticity, engagement, tension or conflict. We looked at the role of content in supporting the journey, shortening the journey. And we also looked at measuring the effectiveness of the content. This is what you're going to do in today's tutorial. You're going to examine the content today and see how effective it is. And then finally, we looked at different aspects of content strategy, concentrating on emotion.